Thank you, everyone, and lucky me for not getting the applause. No, I'm just kidding. So today we're going to talk about corporate banking. Most of corporate clients for corporate banks are not happy with the way they interact with their banks. In a space where services are very much commoditized, user experience, ease of doing business has become one of the top criteria for corporates to choose their banks. Which actually makes me think of the last PlayStation I bought to my son, and you're going to say, how does this fit? The comparison is between retail banking and corporate banking. So the PlayStation stays to retail banking, like my Commodore 64 that I played in my youth stays to the status of digitalization in corporate banking. How do I know? I've been a corporate banker for 13 years, and I had a lot of time where corporate treasurer cried on my shoulder complaining about how does this come? This is 2024. Man is going to Mars, how come this is still paper-based, and so on and so forth. In the next round about 6 minutes, I'm going to tell you why Delega, which is a corporate tool for managed bank signatories, so the whole who can sign what within the corporates, has been dealt together with a lot of corporates that have used and tried, and have told us that they think that our solution make their internal efficiency higher. Imagine a very paper-based process completely going digital, has reduced their operational risk, and has brought a lot of improvement on the customer experience, which, like I referred, is not the best at the moment. And you might think, okay, come on, there's really nothing in the market for this? There's no solution? I'm going to quote one of the corporate treasurer that says the solution in this space is a little bit like the monster of Loch Ness. Everybody talked about it, but no one had really seen one. Okay, so enough of chit-chat. I'm going to show you a little bit of the platform and basically tackle 4 of the most biggest problems in this area. Number 1 is corporates have to deal with a lot of counterparts. One of the first pilot clients we had has 66 banks. So imagine one director has to go. They have to have all this fun with 66 counterparts. How does the system address this? How do we help them doing that? You have to think this as a workflow engine for corporates. So a bit of a Google Drive with a bit of intelligence underneath that allows to collaborate with external counterparts. So let's say I am one of the treasury member in corporate XYZ. Now one of my directors has been replaced with another. How do I assign him rights to sign on behalf of one of the company? Easy. I just look for his name. Name that I've obviously integrated with any ERP. I can pull the data with integration, obviously, from the HR system or ERP. Now what I can do is link him or her to one or more of the company in my group. And I can confirm my selection. And then I can assign him a profile, which is basically an aggregation of different powers. So a cash management signer can do all these things jointly with a lot of rules. To get with amounts, so it's pretty much detailed what you kind of power you can assign. You can send it over, and then you can say, all right, this is what you want to do, yes, and you can pick the bank you want to send this to. The interaction happen on I'm not going to have time to show you the whole workflow with the banks, but essentially it's an encrypted email that goes to the bank, it's hyper secure, and the banks can deal with that request over an interface. Second problem. Right, we look at the interaction. So when we move to the worksheet, now I've done my application. For every application, the system is going to learn the rule that each of the bank wants. So bank 1 wants this document, bank 2 wants that document. We learn those requirements, and we fill them in. For every application, you might see that every person has one application. And this little green tick takes us to the second problem. I'm a corporate person. I have a lot of banks, and banks keep on asking me the same documents over and over, even within the same bank. This little green tick means that for every person in our records, we can tag all the documentation to that person so that we allow the corporates to reuse the information within the same bank or across all the other banks. Third problem, corporates have no visibility around each of their application. Let's go back to the 66 banks case I mentioned before. They don't know what's the status both internally and externally. And this is why with our open case page, every corporate is able to track the status internally and externally. Internally, because we are able to manage an internal workflow. So before any bank is given any authorization, the CFO, the head of legal can be notified, and there is an approval internal process. And we can look at the bank status as well. For every bank, you can see where this went to, when was this sent to whom. I can follow up. I can see how many days this has been open. You have a log of the open cases. You have a log of the approved cases. Last but not least, corporates need access to that information very, very fast and in a reliable manner. In my previous career, I've seen numerous of time corporates coming in and ask, I want to know, I have PwC here on my door. I need to know who is who within your bank. This was, on average, a pretty extensive and not easy exercise. So what we built is a repository of all the information about who is who can sign for who, both on a legal entity or via legal entity or per bank account, where you can see both you, where essentially you're going to say, well, what's a specialty here? Every application is managed on a 4 eyes principle based with the bank. So I send an application out to the bank receive all the documentation, and they're able to say, okay, I like document 1, I don't like document 2, or I like them all, that's all right. And only when they say that's all right, every signature is going to be maintained in these records. That's why you have an approval date, which is the moment the bank has taken and acknowledged the receipt and acceptance of your documentation. Last but not least, you can also manage on a periodical basis this data to be approved and reconfirmed by the bank on a periodical basis. That's why you have a confirmation date. What's my ask for today? Obviously, I'll be happy to spare a chat with any of you. I know there's a lot of banks where I can show you a little bit how we can set up a bank for a pilot with no IT effort, so 0 development effort, and in a couple of weeks of training for your employee. Thank you very much for your attention.